Welcome back to the Dynamic Life Cycles podcast. I'm Jared Connolly, your host, and this week we have Mel Katcher on. Some of you might know Mel from Ruckus Racing, and others might have just seen her infectious energy romanticizing her life on social media. As you'll see and hear, she's an amazing addition to the cycling world, only starting a couple of years ago and is already giving back through a bunch of different avenues. As always, thank you so much for listening, commenting and sharing, as it really does make my job so much more enjoyable. Once again, enjoy your listen. Thanks. Did you get out today on the bike?
Yes, I did. Actually, I did ride and run. I've been kind of into running lately. I want to be ready for the off season, so I've been trying to incorporate it a little bit.
Okay.
So I did both, and it was really fun. Lovely day today, not too hot.
Yeah.
So perfect summer day.
Bring this just a little bit closer.
Perfect summer day.
Yeah, that's better. No. So running, why?
I know. I'm asking myself the same question. I'm not quite sure why, but all my friends are doing it, and I was like, oh, they seem like they're actually having fun.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give it a try. Because, on sometimes on some days I have some spare time. So, why not give it a try and try something else? And I'm actually really liking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's dangerous.
It is, but I would say I'm like a closet runner.
What is a closet runner?
So like I'm like hiding, you know what I mean? Like, so I secretly love running, but my body, I've hurt my, like, too many injuries with my legs and things like that, that I can't run very well, and I've got extremely flat feet. So like that love
must be painful.
Well, the flat feet's not too bad as long as I'm wearing orthotics, but I do enjoy running it, but I ride too much to then run. So then when I do run, I can't walk the next day because my muscles are too sore.
Oh,
so
that's like a catch-22.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you're getting ready for off-season. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they're getting ready for off-season, which I kind of get it for Vancouver because it's not quite snowy enough to not ride all the time, but when it is, like, you kind of get stuck in this black ice kind of world.
Yeah.
Is that part of the running? Is that what you're thinking? Or are you just doing it just because you can?
I'm just doing it because I can. And also, like, I'm one of those people that I'm really like thriving in the winter. I actually really love Zwift. I'm like such a diehard Zwiftie.
Yeah.
I really love it. But sometimes it gets a lot. So I'm just trying to explore other things. And in the winter also I do Olympic weightlifting.
Yes.
I'm very, very into that. But sometimes I get really passionate about a thing and then I just get really into it. So I was like, maybe I need like a little bit of a balance of like, I mean, I say that and now I'm just adding another sport. I'm just realizing it as I'm saying it. But yeah.
Yeah. Is it really balanced if you don't take something away and you just consistently add?
Makes sense in my head. Okay. So
it adds up. It adds up.
It adds up. It's Melanie's math.
Okay. So I guess the big reason for getting you on and chatting, and as people start to find out your energy and mental balance and just lifestyle that you portray, but I guess also actually do, as we just found out, is just so fun and almost infectious, I would say. And looking like at all of your, what do you call it, romantic diary?
My romanticized, yes, every month. Yeah. I do my romanticized diary.
And I think I might have copied you because you were doing this last year. You were doing this last year, were you not?
But last year I wasn't calling it that way, and this year I just made it. I love to romanticize my life so much because I think it's so important to like be so proud of what you're doing and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it's like everything that you post, and it's something that I hope that I portray in my own life as well, is like you're unapologetically yourself.
Aww.
So it's like what was the one you posted something the other day where it was like you're at Costco.
Oh, yes.
And
I was eating a hot dog.
The hot dogs or whatever. And
Yes.
it's like, what was she captioning? Something about like, there's not enough time to eat calories or...
Yeah, I think it was something along the lines of I have a lot of ride plans on the every day this week, so there's no time for being like not fueled properly.
Yeah.
And it was just me eating a Costco hot dog.
Yeah. Which is like, for anybody in the road world, it seems to be so... You have to be so perfect, and like... Even like the shaved legs, and they're like the kit has to match with the kit, and the helmet and the glasses, and if you're not riding a certain brand of tires, and then you're out here just having fun.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Like when I first started cycling, it was very difficult for me to be myself on the bike, because as you said, I would be like super noob at cycling, and I would do sloops, Stanley Park loops, and I would just see all those people that are exactly what you're describing. And yeah, I thought it was just so hard to picture myself one day being like that person that is able to do all those cool things on the bike and still have fun, because I didn't see that around me, really. And now I'm seeing, now that I'm part of it, that maybe it's not necessarily the case, that people are maybe just not being themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important. Eat that hot dog.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Have fun.
I completely agree. And it's almost like I want to call it like a mountain biker's mentality towards road riding.
Oh.
As a road rider.
Animosity.
Yeah. But it's like, I feel like the mountain biker, well, I'm going to call it downhill or gravity riders. Like, it's very much like you eat your fast food, you eat whatever, and you have fun and you laugh at each other, and your kit may not match exactly right, but at the same time, you're out there enjoying exactly what you're doing, and it doesn't have to be perfect to enjoy it.
Totally.
So, like, you mentioned, like, when you started and you got into it, tell me a bit about that, because from what I understand, you got into it as an adult.
Yeah, like I'm a COVID cyclist, like pretty much like everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started cycling in 2021.
Okay.
So I'm fresh baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do anything before that, sporting wise, or what were you doing in the background before that?
Yeah, I played at pretty high level volleyball and flag football.
Okay.
When I was in college, and after that I did pick up CrossFit for a few years. I was very, very into that.
Yep.
And then when I moved from Whistler to Vancouver, I mean, living here is really expensive.
Yes.
So I needed to work a lot. So my fitness kind of took a little bit of a sideburn, like took the side. And then when COVID happened, everybody kept posting on Instagram their bikes, and I was like very influenced, and one thing led to another, and I got myself a bike. It was pretty impossible to get a bike at that time, especially when you're 49.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very impossible, but I found one, and then I just started riding, and then I was lucky enough it took a few months of me riding alone and just saying hi to people in the park, and nobody saying hi to me.
Yeah, everyone was like avoiding each other at that time.
Girl?
Yeah.
My kits were probably not like perfect enough or anything. But yeah, and then I was lucky enough to find a friend, and then it was a snowball effect, and then now I have an entire community of amazing people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's super cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy at pretty much all levels. I'm trying to think how I explain this, because I've had lots of different opinions about this, but if you put your hand out and really put a lot of effort in, there is a community there to embrace you.
Oh my gosh, amen.
And like there's a lot of different steps about it, and I think it's so awesome to hear that you were accepted into that, because I know that there's a lot of people that struggle as well. But I kind of wonder, listening to what you're saying, that if the people that are struggling are almost trying to be too perfect with that a little bit, without sort of saying that, it's sort of, a little bit controversial, I guess. But
it is, but it's, you're onto something though.
Yeah. And if you, as you say, like you've now got this great community around you with Ruckus and a few other groups and things like that, which is really cool, and going from there. But tell me a bit more. So like you got into the cycling, you started doing a bit of the riding, and then where did it go from there? Like a bit of racing, a bit of social media, things like that?
Yeah. Well, actually, then one thing led to another. And yeah, when I found those friends, we just started really immersing ourselves in the community. We all started, we saw that there was not a lot of us. And I mean, us being women on bikes.
For sure.
And yeah, and then we started joining women specific classes. So we joined the QM classes being hosted by Paul Moffat by Philosophy. And then we met so many amazing women. And then shout out Morgan Shirley. She was part of all of this, and she asked us, have you ever thought of racing?
Yeah.
And then we're like, no, but why not?
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another, and she was really the pioneer of like the new wave of you know, the women racing culture in Vancouver. And then the racing scene now is huge. Like there's so many women. Like it's so fantastic. Like from the first season that I've started racing in 2022, when we were like 15 at the start line, and we thought it was so massive. And this year in Cat 1, 2, 3, because a lot of us have like grown now in the sports and make place, you know, for more people. Now there's like 30, 40 of us. It's all of this stems from people maybe not thinking that we're so perfect and just taking chances and just having fun. Yeah. And this is what Ruckus is all about. Having fun, being taken seriously. Yeah,
I didn't know, like I've not actually met Morgan, but like,
she's phenomenal. Please.
I know who she is, and it's like I didn't realize she was the one that essentially was the one that asked the question. Like I've heard a similar story from a few different people where it was sort of like someone was asking the question, but I didn't realize that was her.
Yeah, she's the one who was actually, she was racing with Mary Loma back then. Yeah. And she was the only woman. Yeah. And then she just started asking us, like, would you ever consider doing this? Yeah. And we were all so new to cycling, you know, still learning. Yeah. And we're like, yeah, why not go and try it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you guys did such a good job in that early stages of like building classes and groups, and even having, like, I remember all of you had, like, what was it, hosting like maintenance nights and things like that, which was really cool.
Yeah, we're really trying to do our part. You know, I think that if we're wanting to see more women racing, more women on bicycles in general, I think we just need to keep talking about it. Yeah. We need to show up for it, and we need to just talk.
Yeah, that was like something I was going to jump into later. Let's do it now.
I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah, tell me a bit more about that, because like you're using all your social platforms and things like that to help sort of, I guess, guide and influence and I guess inspire like different women to get involved and go from there. And part of the big reason why I enjoy watching what you do is because of all of that. But tell me a bit about that. Like, what are you doing in the community to help inspire people?
Yeah. Well, I think that being part of Ruckus Racing is like definitely a big, you know, we do have a voice now in the community, and we, as you stated earlier, like we are hosting a lot of events, and we're actually also sponsoring a lot of events. For instance, last year we granted some crit passes. Okay. And from there, we've like literally grown so much as a team, and some of those people that we were able to gift passes to are now racers in our team. Yeah. And you know, we're kind of really trying to, as I said earlier, just talk about it and just keep it at the forefront of it all. So I think that also using our social media to just promote the fact that, you know, and also it's really important to like, I think that, you know, people think of racing as, you know, maybe just crit racing or just road racing. But I think like it's so important to like consider that there's so much more to it. And I think that this is something that we have tried to do a lot this year. We do have a lot of gravel racers. We have track racers. And I think that racing goes way beyond just, you know, those fast races that we see. Like we do have also ultra cyclist in our team. And I think that, so I think that like it's really important. And I think that this is what we're trying to show in our socials. It's like, and also racing is not end all be all.
Yeah.
Also the reason why we're doing a lot of Ruckus and Friends events. And really, ultimately, we just want to see more representation. I want to see more women like me on bikes and eating hot dogs and having fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important. We're literally like just here, but like we're not paid to do this.
No.
So why not having fun? We pay to play. So
exactly right.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit more about some of the like different sorry, my computer just changed screen. Tell me a bit more about like some of the adventures and stuff, and like I guess the recreational side of everything you're doing, because it's like that seems more fun than turning up to some of these races with everybody. Right. Whereabouts are you going, and like what are you doing?
You mean like when I'm not racing?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. I'm a big, if any of you that are listening, follow me on Strava, you should, because I'm really funny and like my Strava is really fun. I love it. It's like my little diary. But people would know that I'm a big volume gal. Yeah. I ride a lot. I really love it. And I love to also be really honest, and I think that my socials, I think I do a pretty good job at showing that like my reality allows me to do it. So it's like very important that also when you're looking and you're being inspired by someone, that you understand the full picture, and I'm trying to be really honest about that. So I'm very lucky that I get to be able to write a lot, but I do a lot of, like in my spare time, I love to do like a lot of hard things, like silly rides like Bowen Island Men. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No,
but it's a ride on Bowen Island, and the map looks like a heart.
Okay.
Like not a heart, but our like actual heart with our arteries and stuff. Yeah. And it's a 140K ride with 4,600 meters of elevation. And you complete it in one day. Like this is the kind of thing that I like to do. Or like with my friends, we do another crazy ride that I've done last year was the Tour de Richmond, was 300 kilometers in Richmond. Yeah, just think of, I know. Don't do it.
That's a lot.
Don't do it.
To ride around Richmond. Yeah.
Or like the other kind of thing that like lights me up is like doing the Festive 500 in one go on the trainer.
Yeah, tell me about that. You mentioned earlier about being a trainer. Yeah, I bet. Let's just pause and go on a full tangent here.
Please go.
Tell me a bit about the Festive 500 in one go. Like you just mentioned that you enjoy doing hard things. Like anybody that's listened to some of the stuff I've spoken about, like I've done plenty of big rides, like 400 plus K rides. I've done 24-hour rides, all the rest of that. Like I've done things like this, but sitting on a trainer and like I kind of want to know the background, because I feel like I would end up cheating the system, in the sense of I would find the flattest route to sit at 40 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh,
well, that's not really what I did, but yeah, continue your train of thought.
I feel like that's how I would have to get through it. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, it's like, tell me about what you did and what was the reasoning behind all of this?
I just could, so I did it.
Okay. That's fair. That's my reasoning for a lot of the things I do.
I don't know. I think I just really wanted I just really wanted to do it in one go, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if like outside's gonna be certain, because you never know. No, like it starts exactly at that time of the year, like in the winter during Christmas. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it indoors. And then I didn't tell any of my friends because I was like, oh. But then the day before I was like, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Like, it's in my head. I'm not going to be able to like.
Not going to get away from it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I know how I am. And when I'm focused on something, I'm just like, gotta go. And and then I just did it. Sat on the trainer for 16 hours.
Wow.
I think in total, like all of my pee and like my little snack and kit change was like $20. What am I saying? 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was
yeah.
literally on a trainer for that long, but it was really fun. Some of my friends came, actually outside my window, cheer me out. So that cheer me out. And so that was amazing. But also like a lot of them came online. I think this is why I love Zwift so much. Like I'm such a Zwiftie. Like in the winter, I host a lot of rides as well.
Yeah.
For Specialized and Beeler, my sponsors. So that's really amazing. And I just love the power of the community. How like I feel like in real life, like we always say like, oh, I really like you telling all your friends, oh, like, let's go ride. But then it's so hard to make it happen because like life, adulting, and then some people want to ride gravel, some people want to ride road. And then you're like, oh, but I want to see you. I want to hang out with you. But I feel like Zwift just allows people to connect in such a way.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, you know, when in Vancouver here, it's like so miserable in the winter, you have that little piece of sunshine, I find, of like having your friends online and just like chatting while you're just in a virtual world.
For sure.
I don't know. I love it. I'm a big fan.
So tell me a bit more about that in the sense of, do you do much racing online or is it all like social rides?
I've never raced online, but I think I'm going to try this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why I've never done it because I really love racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of social actually. I don't really go into those social if it's not like I like to support my community or people that are doing cool things online, like on Zwift. But I love leading rides a lot online. I love it so much.
So how does that work? Because I've never really done, all of the trainer work I've done has always been specifically for training. I've never done like the Zwift thing. I started using, is it Whoosh? I think it is, which is another one.
Yeah.
So I started using that last winter basically because it's a free version of Zwift.
Oh.
If you've never used it, it's really cool.
Yeah, because Zwift's expensive now. I'm like a 10 out of 10 girl. I love it, but it's expensive now.
Yeah, and so I was just Googling like free version or free alternatives, and this came up, and I've only seen videos of Zwift and it seems like a replica almost. But they sponsored the UCI World Championships, so everybody did it on that because it was free. I'm sure there's going to be some point where they start charging for the program, but so tell me about the like group rides, because as I say, I've never done it. And does everybody keep up, or is it the same? Like, does it just automatically put you in the group, or how does that work?
That's such a good question. Actually, not the social rides that I do. I have to control the pact.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little bit hard, but Zwift actually has a lot of features, like having a fence, like people know, like, you know, when they're going too far or they're too back, and you have a little beacon so people know, you know, like who they need to follow. Yeah. So it's like super well set up, but I'm exactly like you though. Like I train a lot online, but I just do it on Zwift because it's something cute to look at.
Yeah, it's easier than staring at a screen of numbers. Yeah,
and you get like those little drop, and then you can go shopping, and then you can get a new bike every week. It's fun.
If you ride enough, you can get a new bike every week.
Well, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you did 500 kilometers in 20 hours, so 16 hours.
16. Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, I always wondered with that if it would be kind of like is it a ergo mode where it just doesn't matter how much like pressure you're putting on the trainer, on the pedals, it just consistently gives you a similar output.
Exactly.
And I wondered whether like everyone would be riding at their own sort of percentages.
They are. Yeah. But then you have all the features to make sure that you're kind of keeping in the pack.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of a social ride, is to stay together.
Together, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So then that way someone with like a 400 FTP and a 200 FTP can ride together sort of thing. So.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've never done it, but maybe this winter
You should. It's really fun.
Maybe I'll have to see if I can find someone to hook me up.
Yes.
If anyone in Zwift land is out there listening, send some codes this way.
Me too. Please.
So let's talk a bit about your photography and mixing that with cycling and everything else you do in the world. Tell me how does it influence obviously what rides you're doing and things like that?
mean, for sure, like the more adventurous, the more like the bigger rides that I can document, for sure I document them.
Yeah.
But I think that I think that my focus has shifted a lot. I think that, as you stated earlier, you know, my content is really about, you know, having fun and documenting my life, romanticizing it. And I think that my focus has shifted a lot with my photography in that sense. I think I'm really loving documenting my friends and like the people that I ride with and the cool thing that we do, and even like the small things. I think it's like just so special. I'm like a big softie, and I'm very much into like, you know, memories and stuff. So I think that like it shifted from like documenting all the cool places we see, or like all the cool places we see, to like very much being documenting the people that I surround myself, that I'm lucky enough to spend all this time, because let's be real.
Yeah.
Like
it's a lot of hours in the week.
It's a lot of hours in a week with like, you know, with your people. So I just, yeah.
So how do you find a balance with that? Because obviously there's some times where you just want to go out and ride your bike and not think about the camera. And this is kind of the issue I always struggle with, is finding that balance. Like I literally last week or the week before, I rode to on the Sunshine Coast there, Seashell.
Oh yeah.
And if anyone hasn't been out there, there's a really good cafe called Basted Baker, I think it's called, and they do really good tomato, like ketchup sauce, homemade. So I literally rode 100 kilometers out to get this ketchup and back. I also had lunch out there, but I did the whole ride, and then I got back. I was like, oh, I didn't even bother getting my phone out, because I was like by myself. But I was like, oh, I didn't take any photos, and I was like, oh, but how do you balance that in the sense of like, one, I guess remembering to actually take photos, but two, either not overdoing it or not underdoing it? Because a lot of the videos you put out, like exactly as you say, they're very romanticized of what you're doing, but it doesn't seem over the top.
I think I just really always have kind of an idea of the things that I want to capture. And also like, I just love capturing like whatever. I just really love it. But I think that one thing that this year, it's funny that you mentioned that at the beginning of the conversation when you brought up my romanticized diary every month with my people and my personal ones as well. I think that this is something that's like really been helping me. I really want every month to be able to look back at the things that I did, photos and also videos, which are just little clips of whatever that, you know, I find wholesome that happened to me during the month. I think that having like the thought process of like thinking about every month I want to capture just a tiny little something of this little thing that I've done has been something that has helped me, because last year I think I was like I really love creating content so much for myself, really.
Yeah.
And I think that last year, as you said, like I really burned out because I was like bringing my camera all the time, but sometimes I really wanted to go fast, but then I couldn't go fast. And then I was like in the fast group, but then I couldn't like, you know, capture my people because like we were all spread out. So I think that this year, like I think taking it and being a little bit more mindful about it and not overdoing it, because I was definitely overdoing it, has been super, super helpful for sure. Yeah. And also to keep my sanity, because like then you go home and you have so much footage.
Yeah.
And
that's
so much.
That's almost my other issue, is like if you do too much. So like I just got like a new 360 camera and things like that.
And 360 is hard to edit. I think like the you know, because you have 360.
Well, you have everything to look at. You're right.
Exactly.
But with all of the new AI functions, like you can select something, and if you're following someone down the trail or whatever, like it will naturally track them.
Okay, that's really cool.
It makes life a lot easier for sure, to like how it looks on camera and things like that. And you can have like the whole de-warping, and I don't know, we don't need to go down that right now, but that's almost my issue, is like you go to the bike park or something like that, or even out for a road ride or wherever, and it's like you could end up with like half an hour of footage and you only need 2 minutes of it.
I know.
I think that's the other bit that's like almost daunting, of like editing down what you need and what you don't need. But yeah, it's kind of hard.
I know, but it's so fun to have all of like I know that like right now we're like in a world where it's like social media content, yay, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think it's like so cool to just have like those memories. Like this morning I was asking my mom, hey mom, like do you like I'm not sure if all of you have been following the Tour de France femme that's happening right now, which is kind of a big deal. We need to talk about it because it's so cool that we get to do this as women. But I was asking her like, hey, do you happen to have a photo of me on a bike? Like, you know, when I was little? Because Demi Vollering posted one and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, what did I look like when I was younger on a bike? And she was like, I don't think I do have that.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's like, it's so cool now that we do have that technology to like, you know, just have those memories. You don't have to create content or you don't have to put it on social media. But I think it's so important to like, especially when we're on our bike for so long, doing all those cool things.
Yeah.
Document that. I'm such a, I'm an advocate of that.
Yeah. And something you mentioned a little earlier, and I'm so happy you mentioned that because everyone's like, oh, why do you do the podcast? And it's like the exact same reason is you do it for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a selfish endeavor to post things on social media. And I think if you're doing it for somebody else, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Totally.
And even myself, not that like I like personally, like you asked me like, oh, why did you get me on the podcast? I'm like, because I want to hear about your story. Personally, I want to learn. And it's like, it's so cool to hear that like all the stuff that you post is like for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
And I've never thought of social media that way until you just mentioned it. Because as I say, like podcast, 100%. Like anybody listening, yes, like it's cool that it's out there and you guys are listening, but I do it for me. So on the flip side, and I've always thought of like social media as like myself having quite a good balance, like mentally, and I don't really get sucked into the whole FOMO situation. I'm somewhat quite lucky in my own mental state that I don't get that, but at the same time, I've never really understood why. And then when you said that you do it for yourself, like 100%, that's what I do. Like my captions on if you go back and read any of the captions on some of the things that I post, like I think the last one was some dumb quote about like the difference between wisdom and knowledge is, what is it? Yeah, the difference between knowledge and wisdom is knowledge is knowing a tomato is fruit, and wisdom is knowing not to put it in fruit salad. And that was the caption. And it's like, and anybody that knows me was just like knowing that I was laughing, that people were out there reading it thinking that I was serious about it. And it's like, so there's like that type of thing. But it's cool that you also do that as well with what you're putting out. And it's like really good content. So
that's really kind of you to say. Thank you.
No, good. Tell me a bit about like how, like, once you got into the cycling and as you say, like you've been building and finding this, I guess, community, things like that, how that's like personally helped you grow. Like how have you changed over those years? Because obviously everyone changed through COVID, but like that's a massive thing to change your whole lifestyle essentially.
Yeah, especially when you're spending 20 plus hours just sitting on the saddle.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't include like the time you're spending, like doing all those other thing relating to bike. I think that the biggest thing is definitely, it's really changed my mental health and the way that I think and do things. I've always been like a very focused and very driven person, but I think that cycling has really kind of like stretched that elastic to, you know, the next level, like always pushing myself and always like doing hard things and always like, you know, like sometimes like we're so lucky, like because we do have access to so many things to push ourselves. Like in our team, we like to say that we're amateur pro athletes because we do like train and race a lot and do all these things on the bike a lot. And I think that, so I think that cycling has really like stretched that elastic for me and like allowing me to do like harder things and just keep pushing myself all the time. So
explain to me more about that. Like when you say it allows you to do harder things, in what way? Like mentally you feel more comfortable pushing yourself? Is that like what? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think that it's allowed me to like be a little bit more uncomfortable, because sometimes like you're put in situations, especially on the bike, where I find that I'm not necessarily comfortable. Like it hurts.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to climb up that mountain? Like what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
But then you like just keep stretching it a little bit, and then you have your community, you have the people around you. And I think that it's really helped me, push myself a lot more and like be able to accomplish those things that I feel that in my life before cycling maybe would have been a little bit harder to do, like to be able to sit in the uncomfortable a little bit more.
Yeah, almost like, as you say, like a bit of like the pain box has now increased.
Now it can go so far. Like that elastic, sometimes I'm like, is it gonna like break? I'm so confused, but it just keeps stretching. It's quite phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think that's such a big thing, and even for myself, like I've found this over many years of racing and cycling and just pushing the boundaries. And I spoke about it with Jen, who was a clinical therapist on one of the previous podcasts, like when I was with Steed, and we sort of got into this conversation of putting yourself in controlled, stressful situations. And then when you get into an uncontrolled, stressful situation or an uncomfortable situation, you already know how your body's going to react. You know what's going to happen. You know you're not going to freak out. You know, okay, I need to stay calm and like build through that. And I think that's what you're talking about a little bit, in the sense of like you don't have to worry about what's going to come, because you know you've done something harder already. And I hear a lot of like professional racers talk about this once they've retired, that their emotional level is almost narrowed, where they don't have super high highs, but they also don't have super low lows.
Yeah.
Because they are quite comfortable in a lot of things they do. Like they get excited, they get happy, they get sad. All of those emotions still happen, but they're much more narrowed in how they react, and it's almost like subdued, I guess, or like turned down in how much it influences their life a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you find that? Like, have you found that since you've sort of been doing more, I guess, bulk? Because like everything you were doing previously was like short sprint type things, versus now you've turned more endurance. Do you see that, or do you feel that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like sometimes you're like, I mean, not sometimes, all the time. Like you're stuck with yourself for so many hours. And especially when I do those like harder rides or those harder efforts or anything, you're literally, it's like you and yourself, like you literally can't escape it. So yes, I absolutely agree with that. You have to learn, you have to you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And listening to your own thoughts, being comfortable in your own brain.
Totally. Yeah.
That's another one that I hadn't put in words or thought about until you just mentioned it then, is like, being very comfortable in like just being by yourself, and whether it's listening to music or a podcast or not even listening to anything at all, it's just like
totally
just sitting there in silence and just being comfortable.
Totally.
A bit, I guess, what makes cyclists really. I
know.
Or endurance athletes at that end.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah.
You keep bringing up community and all the people around you. Tell me more about that, and like what motivates you and what drives you to continue doing what you're doing, because as you say, like you do spend a lot of time on the bike. I find it almost hard sometimes to motivate myself to get up and do it. How do you consistently do that? And I'm guessing a lot of it has to do with the people you surround yourself with. So what are they influencing you with, I guess?
Yeah, they really influence me with crazy things, really. As I said earlier, I really love to push myself a lot. Yeah. And, I'm very lucky to have such a really broad community, and I'm very lucky to have built a lot of friendships with a lot of people that love to do hard things as well. And hard things can be like literally anything. It doesn't, I mean, for anybody listening, like, it doesn't mean like you have to go and like ride 400 kilometers. Like, it's whatever you find that is a hard thing for you. But I think I'm just very lucky to have surrounded myself with people that are willing to like stretch their elastics like a lot. And yeah, so I think that a lot of my friends or my closer friends, especially, I'm very like self-driven. So it's, for me, it's not really, I guess I'm really lucky in that sense. I don't necessarily always need to be motivated in that sense, but when I do, I'm very lucky to have friends that really understand, you know, what I love doing and what motivates me. Like, one thing that really motivates me, like, I'm very, I feel kind of embarrassed about saying that, but I'm going to say it because I'm sure I'm not the only one. But I have like a very strict ratio when I ride.
Okay. In what way?
In like my kilometers to elevation ratio, like, it's kind of very important to me. So, you know, when I need to be feeling like very motivated, my friends know that about me, my closer friends, and that they can actually empower me to, you know, they can actually build routes or, you know, guide me into that direction. But yeah,
what is that ratio? How does this work? Because I've done things like this in the past, but my rides have always varied between flat and then hilly rides.
Oh, I'm not a flat girl.
No, I know this, but like, how, I guess, go into this, like, explain this more.
Oh, it's very easy. For 10 kilometers, I want 100 meters of elevation. Super easy.
Okay. So, yeah.
You can't do that in Richmond, but
no. Yeah.
Yeah, anywhere else, like for me, like on a weekday, like my ideal ride is like 50 kilometers with like 1,200 meters of elevation. Like, for me, like, I'm like, ooh, I'm in heaven.
Just grinding up a hill.
I just love it.
Yeah.
Like, climbing just like, oh, it brings me so much joy.
Here I am telling everyone how infectious your energy is, and you're telling everyone how much you enjoy climbing hills. But
people climb.
Yeah. that definitely helps. And then so with everybody around you, tell me a bit more about that, in the sense of like some of the rides you're attending and the group rides, because it always seems like you're generally on a group ride of some description. Like, how does that happen? Because it's like almost every day it feels like you're riding with people as such.
Yeah, well, I'm just really lucky to be in many group chats.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it is. I think that, like, for anybody listening, like, make as many friends as you can, and just find the people that you love riding with, and just ride with those people. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. I'm just part of, you know, a group that just has a lot of people in it, and on the weekend we have like our routines and stuff of like things that we do. I mean, it's not really routines, but we do different things. But yeah, there is a lot of us in that group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And as I say, it seems like there's always new people and things like that around you. Which
actually, everybody's like, yeah, exactly. And also, I love riding with new people, and I think it's so important, like, for anybody or any groups to just be so welcoming.
Yeah.
Like, if we want to grow the sport, this is what we need to do. And it literally starts with like people like me and you to just be welcoming and just
open up.
Exactly. Say hi. Like, on the flyby, just say hi. Like, all the people now that are saying hi to me that I was saying hi to on the flyby when I started cycling, I'm like, why didn't you say that to me now? Because I almost like quit cycling.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to make friends here.
Yeah. And it's like, cycling can be that niche-y sport.
Totally. It's such an intimidating sport. It's such an expensive sport. Like, let's be real here. And yeah, it's super sad if you're like investing so much into it, and like, because it's so much more fun to be surrounded by people. Like, it's so much easier to just grow so much faster in the sport when you're surrounded by people that are actually pushing you to grow and motivating and supporting. Exactly. So motivating. Totally. Yeah,
definitely. I want to change gears a little bit and talk a bit about diet and everything like that, because we mentioned earlier that you posted about eating a hot dog. But like, tell me a bit about this, because I know, like, I think you just come up 12 months sober. Is that correct?
Actually, like,
or is that
a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And So tell me a bit about that, because like I'm sort of going through a bit of a transition myself, but not that I was like a heavy drinker or anything like that, but then I feel like I had a pretty big crash at the beginning of the year, mountain biking, things like that. It's all good. It's coming good in the way of injuries, but being like getting older and things like that and becoming an adult, I want to call it. Obviously things change. Like how do you keep up with the amount of cycling you're doing with everything that goes along with that? Because we're pretty similar in age.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Are you eating? Obviously, you're not drinking anymore. Like, things like that. What are you doing?
I eat so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hate, like, you know, on that video, I ate a hot dog.
Yeah.
But this is not, you know, the base of the pyramid of my food,
sure.
you know, like I eat a lot of veggies. But I just try to really fuel my body. Like,
Yeah.
for me, what's really important is to be able to move my body. So I always make sure that, you know, I fuel it accordingly and I don't shy away from food. And yeah, that's something that maybe I should be talking a little bit more about. But it's always like, you know, a topic that's a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, you never really know where people are coming from and stuff. But yeah, I do eat a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you should. And that's, that was part of like why I wanted to ask, is because there is so much sort of question behind that. And obviously you're very like positive body, positive image, positive everything. And it's like, how are you doing this? Like, what are you doing in behind the scenes there? And that's exactly it. Like, you're not scared to eat something if you're hungry.
Yeah, totally.
So
yeah, eat the hot dog if you want. Go like it's ice cream season.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. Like,
yeah, go do the exercise and then eat.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Like, make it, I don't know, make it an adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
On your bike.
Yeah.
Why not?
And there's plenty of good ice cream places around.
Oh my goodness, we are so lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, we have so many.
So tell me a bit more about why you stopped drinking and how that came about. Because, as I say, I sort of I'm on that trend, I guess, in the sense of starting. So tell me a bit about your experiences with that.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Like, everybody's definitely on their journey, and like, it's pretty cool if like you find that something maybe is not working out for you and you're just like wanting to make the change. So congrats on you. That's like really amazing.
Thanks.
That, you know, you identified something and you're wanting to make a change about it. For myself, really, it really just started as one day my YouTube algorithm was telling me, well, not telling me, but there was like a video that popped up and it was about like how alcoholism could be, there was a research, and don't quote me on that because I didn't really fully listen to the episode because I was spooked, but it was saying something along the lines that alcoholism, could be hereditary. And I was like, my dad was like an alcoholic when I was growing up, and I was like, oh my God, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it actually kind of like spooked me a little bit. And it was like at a time in my life where I was a little bit like, I don't know, I had like a lot of feelings and I was just like, maybe I should make a change, you know. And it was in February. There's always like the dry February happening to raise awareness for cancer. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And it's kind of really difficult because, you know, at our age, like, it's a very social thing. And it's like, you know, it's social and it puts you out there, and, you know, going to the restaurant and having a nice dinner with wine, like, it's so fun.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So then to prepare myself for it, I was like, I'm going to start like mid-January. And then I did it, and it was actually really hard. Like, just like you, I don't, like, you know, I didn't really, like, I mean, I was drinking, but I don't think I was drinking, like, that much. But it actually, like, my body went through, like, it was insane. It was, like, really crazy. But, yeah, at the beginning, it was really difficult because, you know, the peer pressure of your friends. Because then you're, like, put into those social situations where, like, your friends are, you know, they mean well, but they just want you to enjoy yourself, but they cannot comprehend the choice that you're making for yourself. And it just becomes like, you know, something very difficult. But luckily, I'm lucky to have a group of friends that are very understanding, and over time it got better. But yeah, and then I just stopped drinking like after February. I was like, oh, why don't I stop until my birthday in April?
Yeah.
And then one thing led to another. And then after that, it's like, oh, why don't I try for 6 months? Why don't I try for 1 year? And literally, it's like the best thing I've ever done for myself.
Yeah, wow.
Not only like physically, but also mentally more so.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, not having like, you know, the when you're drunk remorses,
Yeah.
or like just like feeling well in the morning, and just being able to sit in your emotions. I think that was like a big one for me. I think that like we all have trauma in our lives, and I think that we all deal with it very differently. I think that like I'm one of those people that like push things aside a lot, and I think that I did that for a very long time. So I think that like sitting in it was like really good. And I think that for my cycling also was really good too. Like, you know, like learning to talk to yourself better, you know, like learning self-talk, like being able to like really understand yourself better was also very very big for me.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, and it's really interesting to hear your side of it, because it's sort of, I feel like I'm almost at the beginning of that, of like, do I do it, do I not do it, do I tell people, do I not tell people?
I know that's hard, like, but you have to do it for yourself.
100%. Yes. And that's what I'm thinking is like, realistically realistically, I think it's like just over a month that I haven't had alcohol, and it's not purely by choice or whatever, but it was kind of like the last time I did, it was my birthday, and not that, once again, not that I drink a lot, and it wasn't, and I don't drink that much, and I didn't drink that much on my birthday, to be honest, but it was sort of like 3 or 4 beers on the Friday, 3 or 4 beers on the Saturday, 3 or 4 beers on the Sunday, and my birthday was on the Sunday. And then I tried to do the Dawn Patrol ride on the Tuesday. So, like, that all adds up, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was, like, it was the worst feeling that I had in such a long time. And I'm quite lucky in the sense that I don't get hangovers.
Oh.
So I can wake up in the morning and just function. Like, I don't get that. And, like, I can be pretty much blackout drunk. It's pretty rare. I would say less than 5 times in my entire life that I've woken up and not wanted to get out of bed.
Wow.
So I'm pretty lucky in that sense. And I think that has helped, but also like not really worried about it. And then, like going through like getting my neck sorted and things like that from when I crashed and stuff like that, like the inflammation and everything from alcohol, I'm like, wow, like I can actually feel a big difference when I have 1 or 2 beers at night. And then the next day I feel how much stiffer and how much sorer that inflammation is around that area. So it's kind of like this, like, do I start to turn it off? And then my other issue that I have at the moment is it's like, if I'm going to buy like a mocktail or a non-alcoholic drink that is... So I actually
You're
really...
like, why am I going to spend for this?
Yeah. Well, I really don't like non-alcoholic beer. Like, I don't understand non-alcoholic beer. Like, if you're going to drink a beer, just drink a beer. Like, there's way better tasting things in the world than non-alcoholic beer. But, like, if you go buy a mocktail, like, they're $7 or $8 minimum. It's like, well, that's pretty much the price of an alcoholic drink. Like... And then it's like weighing up the dollar. Like, I'm not saving money by not drinking. But then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, I'm feeling way better.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a lot more accepted in the world to go out and have fun without that at the moment.
Totally.
So
I think it's really, it's a lot easier, but also it's like,
yeah,
it needs to be better. But we're getting there. I think, again, you know, more people that choose that lifestyle, good on them. But then those people need to keep talking about it and, like, make it, you know, it's so cool that some of my friends drink. And I really like that for that for them. But I think it's so important to respect, like, the entire spectrum.
Both directions.
Exactly. Totally.
And that's it. Like, and my other question for you being that you're, like, as you say, like, almost 18 months sort of thing.
Yeah.
When you go out and it's like a very special celebration, do you think, oh, maybe I'll have just 1 glass, or you're at the point now where you're just like nothing?
Literally, I don't even think about it.
Yeah, wow.
Like, literally. Like, I feel like, you know, with my mental health and everything, I feel like I've done such big work this year.
Yeah.
That I just don't think it's worth it. I think for me, and also my physical health, like I'm like the fittest I've ever been in my life. I'm like, why would I even want to jeopardize this? Like tomorrow morning, I want also like something that everybody needs to know. I'm like a little bit of a grandma. Like this is actually really late for me tonight.
I did read this.
I'm like a little bit of a grandma. So like for me going to bed, like especially in the winter, like 7:30, very, very usual. So also like I want to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, you know? So for me, it's just not worth it. I think that all of the cons definitely outweigh the pros for me.
Yeah.
But that's really personal.
100%. As you say, you have to do it for yourself, and you have to acknowledge to do it for yourself.
Totally.
And I think that's a pretty fair reason.
Yeah.
So, we're coming up pretty close to an hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of tell us a little bit about, I know you've got on the 21st, which will be essentially, let's just call it tomorrow from when the podcast will be released.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that event with the bike bingo that I saw you posting about. And then, whatever else you've got going on.
Yeah, totally. Well, actually, I'm so sad because just before I came here, we've got the words that, I'm very excited because we're sold out. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any more spots, but sad that nobody else can join. But that's okay. There's going to be other ones.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's kind of a secret.
Okay. So
I don't have that many details about it, but it's going to be fun. If anybody in the community here locally in Vancouver know anything about Ruckus, we are the funnest people around. I mean, there's lots of people that are super fun. But we are super, super cool, and our events are always really, really fun. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be catering to both roadies and how do you call people that gravelies? I don't know. I wouldn't call them gravelies, but the gravel girlies and the roadies. Okay. So it's going to be super fun, and it's going to be a blast, and we'll meet up afterwards. We'll have some drinks, some food, and it's going to be amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then for anybody to get in contact with you or to follow you, what's the easiest way to reach out?
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely active on Instagram at Mel Katcher. Easy peasy, my name. It's really fun. Please send me DMs. I just love like speaking with people. Also on Strava, my name, I actually really like, I'm having such a blast on Strava. Like I think more people should invest in Strava. Like people, don't leave your rides, morning ride or afternoon rides. I can't.
Such a snob.
I actually can't. I'm gonna kudo you, but if you want to comment for me, I don't know. I just love being entertained on Strava.
I will say that they've just updated some feature that now when I open my app, it comes up like, I don't know if it's for everybody or like how they do like the trial, like test by test type thing. But if I upload a ride, you know how it normally just like automatically goes to Strava onto your feed and you don't have to worry about anything?
Yeah.
So now when I open my app, even if it's like a day later, if I open the app, it'll slide up as like a prompt and it's like, do you want to edit this activity?
What?
Yeah.
Maybe your Strava's broken.
I don't know. Maybe I'm living in the future, but
maybe
it's kind of cool because I'm the biggest Strava snob that is there. In
what sense? Tell me more.
I just use, because I've used Strava for so long, and like I think I've been a member on Strava for like over 10 years now, like since 2012 or 2013 or something like that. Yeah.
It's that old. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That was a new thing.
No, it's been around forever. And there was a long period where when I was training full time, I'd have all of my rides turned to private, so I could still see, and I was using other programs at the time as well, but I could still see the segments and have fun with that and all the rest of it, and use the routes and everything. But since I've sort of stopped racing and stopped training, I still only use it for my personal like tracking, because it's the only app that I use that tracks all of my rides together, and for I think it's 2 years in a row, I haven't actually given a kudos out because I don't I don't look at anybody else's rides.
You're so rude.
That's what I mean. I'm a snob. I'm an absolute snob when it comes to this. And it's quite funny because actually last year I gave 1 or 2 out, and I have this sneaky suspicion that Alyssa, my girlfriend, jumped on and liked her own ones. So I think I gave 2 or 3 kudos last year, and then the 2 years previous to that I did 0. And it wasn't that like I chose to do it. I just don't look at other people's rides. But now when I open the app, it like tells me to edit the ride and like add photos and things. So who knows? Maybe I'll get behind it a bit more.
Oh my gosh, I'm so the opposite of you. It's so funny because my friends make so much fun of me because literally, like, you know, you get recap at the end of every month.
Yeah.
And I'll get like, let's say 10,000 likes.
Yeah.
And then it's going to say that's the ones that the likes that the kudos that I received. And and it's going to say that I gave 50,000. And I'm like, oh, I'm a big kudo girl. It's like, I love cheering on people.
Yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
This was so
fun.
It was
great. Yeah, cheers.
Nice. Bye.